Welcome. Let me make sure my sound is on. I always forget. Welcome to another episode of You Left Shit Out. I'm your host Compton J. Uh, got a little bit different setup. I'm using a different chair, so I'm a little lower, and so the angle's a little bit different. So yeah, thank you for joining me for this episode. This is actually a topic I initially had for Monday, and because I knew some things in the background, I said, "Hey, let me push this off." And the episode with Elias and Danny actually was a great episode. So I'm happy I did that. So today, this is kind of part one of uh, the MPP topic, Nick Brana topic. This is like part one. This is where I'm just giving my opinion. I don't give I'm not going to give advice on what you should do. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm simply doing a stream on what I think about this situation from what I'm hearing. And that's pretty much it. We're all going to have different opinions. We're all going to believe, we all have different backgrounds, different upbringings that makes the same information means something different to different people. So understand that. So I, been watching streams about this, and in particular, it was just something I didn't like that I saw what was happening. When Nick Brana went on his PR tour, and that's when he went on these streams so he can get ahead of the narrative. That's exactly what's going on, or that's exactly what was going on. So it was just things that I didn't like, and I thought was missing from the discussion. So why not have it on the show called "You Left Shit Out"? So I'm going to give an analysis that I feel has been left out, and hopefully we have a nice discussion. This is not a I hate MPP supporters versus everybody else or me. That's not what this is about. But if you're a Nick Brana stan, I'm warning you now, this is not going to be a good stream for you. So maybe if you're triggered by critique of Nick Brana, I would suggest you leave this stream. I'll give you a few moments if you want to do that, because it's not going to be pretty. So I'll give you a moment here. And once I get going, I'm not sure how much of the comments I'm going to get to once I get going. And maybe so I'll reveal that because I don't want that to cloud what I'm going to say. I'll reveal that at the end. Okay, so using these little Bluetooth headsets. So let's go to Sabby's stream. Let me share Sabby's stream here. I'm sorry, Sabby's episode where she did her interview with Nick Brana. Oh, here it goes, right here. So, of course, we love Sabby. I love Sabby. Fun fact, history. Sabby interviewed, I believe we talked about this. I can't remember. It was either me or Rome that was her first guest that she had of the RBN group, who are now RBN. At the time, we weren't. So she was a lot smaller channel. I think she had like 3,000 or 3,500, something like that, subscribers. That's when I went on her channel. Um, and I was just Compton J, and she was just Sabby. Her own channel was no FHL. That wasn't even thinking. None of that was even in the works. So just a fun fact. And so let's now I'm gonna jump to parts. We're not gonna watch all of this. So, but I'm gonna just jump to parts and where I want to make points here. Actually, let me bring up my notes. I do this all the time where I make notes, have them set, and then when I get the stream going, I just talk. And then I go to my notes. I'm like, man, I forgot to bring that part. So in this particular part, I do want to make a point to cover all of my thoughts, all of the details of my thoughts here. Where is it? Hang on a second here. So my wife is in the other room streaming too. So I think my internet is going to be slightly slow here. Sent to me. Okay. I'm sorry. I have a lot of emails. So even that like looking through that didn't do it. I had to search. Okay, so I do have it. Right. Oh shoot, maybe that's not it. Let's type in Nick Brana here then. Okay, bear with me. My apologies, really. I'm trying to find this. But anyway, uh while it's weird because I type in Nick Brana and all the MPP because I'm actually a member. If that's where you get the emails, I'm actually where everybody signed up for this for the oh here it goes. Everybody signed up. I remember that day where they had the convention and Chris Hedges. I was just like retweeting. I was like taking what he said, transcribing it in a tweet, several tweets, and tweeting those out because everybody, it was a sense of hope, a sense of finally we have something that we can work towards. So anyway, it was just a story because all of these emails from MPP came up. And now let's get to this other part. So let me read to you exactly what I have here. The Nick Brana interview was very disturbing to me. What disturbed me was the people in the comments. It was like I was watching something completely different than about 40 to 50% of the people in the comments. It's like it had a very, now this word I say it kind of funny, cult, cult like feel to me, similar to liberals and Democrats relationship. So I plain sorry. That's the feeling I got while watching that, and that was disturbing to me because that's to me is not what we should be about. Like we are mimicking our oppressors politically. Think about that when we behave like that, where we're not supposed to be cheering for people or against people. That's so duopoly like to me. So let me continue. The blind loyalty, regardless of what's staring you right in the face, very Trumpian to me. So it's terrible what people are willing to be okay with, and none of what I'm saying is even necessarily about the allegations. If we are going to be honest with ourselves and want to build a party, we have to be honest that making an honest assessment outside looking in, it doesn't look like MPP has been ran very well, in my opinion. There's little to no transparency at all. The meeting should be on Zoom for everybody or streamed on YouTube. Why aren't we hearing about this stuff? There's a lot of, oh, well, where's this evidence? Oh, yeah, we got it. We'll get it to you. But it never comes. And we've all heard this about this particular party. We've heard this. And I'm not talking about just with this latest allegations. Remember the black issue? Have we all forgot about that? Have we forgot about the issue months ago where MPP was having problems with black members? It is for that reason that I can no longer be a part of MPP. I can no longer advocate for MPP. I can no longer support MPP as a third party option as long as Nick Brana and his disciples are in leadership roles. Simply cannot. Nick Brana has been groomed by the Democratic establishment, and this whole thing feels very Democratic-like. What did Joe Biden do when Tara Reid came out? What was some of the things that he said? Politically motivated. What do we hear? Politically motivated. Over and over. Politically motivated. Do we understand that they don't have any candidates yet? There's no one elected. Who is the other side that's plotting against you? This seems to be mismanaged all on his own. And what did Joe Biden do with the Tara Reid allegations? When it got to where people just said he got to say something, the same thing happened in this case. He needs to say something. He goes out. Where did he go? Didn't he go on a speaking tour? Didn't he go to a couple of friendly, very friendly venues? Didn't Nick go to a couple of friendly venues to get ahead of this narrative? Very Democratic-like to me. Let's not forget that Nick was a Democrat. Nick is likely being advised by Democratic lawyers. Who goes on a show, a friendly show, where the host is a member of the party? You bring board members on to essentially dump on a person who has allegations who have not even came forward yet. That sounds very duopoly-like. That doesn't sound like leftists showing respect. Not belief in the allegations, respect for the process. So because MPP, unexperienced investigators, asked some questions and they made a determination, all of us are supposed to go off of that shit? Really? Are we being serious here? So you just come out and say it's wrong and blah, blah, blah. You have a statement basically smearing her before she's even said anything. That sounds like leftists or liberals to you. I'm just simply talking about respect. I have no idea either way. None of us have any idea either way from this flimsy investigation. But what I do know is that accusers should not be treated like this. That is what I do know. If somebody says, do they have consultants? Because somebody who told you to go on a speaking tour bashing the allegations of a person who hasn't even come out yet, outing them. And believe me, you've outed her by saying you've dated her before. Simply not speaking the name doesn't mean you didn't out her by saying that. But because you have to cover your ass for getting rid of these board members, this is what you do? Whose strategy is this? Very, very Democratic-like. You tell me if you didn't hear this story and it was all Democrats, you wouldn't be disgusted. You're telling me that? That's what you're trying to tell me? Joe Biden and let's say Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer and Pelosi all going on speaking tours, talking about a person whose allegations who haven't even been made public yet. We're fine with that if they did that. That's what you're telling me as leftists? Then I'm no leftist, ma'am and sir, and person and human. I'm no leftist then. If that's what you're telling me leftists are about. Completely disgusting. It's about respect, man. And I mean, I watched this interview and Sabby was great. He said a whole lot of mumbo jumbo. A whole lot of, I'll get that shit to you. Let's listen. That's my first rant. Let's listen. No. Thank you for your super chat. But the answer to that, no, not settling down. No. No one. Okay, let me address this then. So this is what you're saying. Depending on if the allegations come out to be true, that decides how we respect or not the person with the allegations. That's what this fucking thing means. How does that not mean that? So depending on not whether they're true or not, decides the process, the respect process. So why do I need to settle down for? The information that you're disrespecting the process of a person that's giving sexual allegations, I already know that. I'm trying to make this a better left movement. RBN, when we were formerly FHL, made me a better leftist. It was so much shit in the background where I had to take a hiatus and check myself. Me and Rome going at it. And if we was in person, it would have probably been blows. they checked me. I'm here to check leftists. This is bullshit that we're accepting this. Not saying that he's guilty, regardless of the allegations. You should not be doing this. You should not. Terrible. So this is the whole reason my support and advocacy for them is withdrawn, because they're in leadership. Because this strategy is coming from the top. So it's not the great people who's doing all the work in the field. It's like a handful of people at the top that this rant is about. We can't, or I can't support the disrespect of this accuser. And, you know, I love Jackson, but in his stream, very flippant about the accuser. Oh, no evidence. I've been sexually assaulted as a child, and I don't have any evidence. So am I lying? Most sexual assaults, you're not going to have any evidence. I thought we already knew this as leftists. I thought we already knew this. I was sexually assaulted as a child. So if I can't produce evidence, I'm lying? My allegations of sexual assault are just to be thrown to the side? And and it was another thing that was disappointing in Jackson's stream. Inconsistencies in sexual assault survivor. When have we heard that? A lot. Ask any trauma expert that. That's the same thing, same attack line they use against Tara Reid. Like I said, Nick Brana has been groomed by Democrats. So I don't have any evidence of my sexual assault, multiple sexual assaults. And if I tell the story 3 times, it's not going to sound the same every time. So because of that, I'm a liar, according to this stream. This is why I took offense to that, because I don't have any of that either. I was 5 or 6. What would I thought? Oh, let me go get some evidence. As I'm being sexually assaulted, let me go over here and get a camera over here. Terrible. So I'm offended by the process and the lack of respect for the process, because your internal non-experienced investigators found some shit that they or didn't find evidence. So these investigators would have came to me traumatized from all my sexual abuse, and then where's I just can tell you what happened. That's my evidence. Well, last time you said you turned to the right. This time you said you sat down. Yeah, you know, one of them. The point is the assault. My allegations would be just tossed to the sewer. With this standard, just thrown to the garbage. I'm offended by the process. I don't have any idea whether Nick done any of this stuff or not. I haven't personally talked to anyone, but I do know this: you do not treat anyone the way that she has been treated. That's what I do know. So let's listen.
First and foremost, I do want to let everyone know, like, Nick and I have never met before. So this is the first time like we're actually meeting. Just want to put that out there. I, for one, am 100% for third parties. I know if you're new to my channel, you may not know that, but if you do watch me, you do know that. I talk about that a lot. I'm against the duopoly. And I also want to make it known, because I think it's only fair that you guys know this, that I did find out recently who the accuser is. I cannot mention their name. There's things that go along with this, but I think it's only fair to let you guys know that I am aware of who that person is. I've reached out to the people involved. As you guys saw a couple days ago, one of the volunteers came on. Obviously, I reached out to Nick and I reached out to the accuser as well. They are not ready to come forward. So just letting everybody know that I reached out to the parties that are involved. So with
I'm gonna stop it there. So the part two I mentioned earlier in this stream, there's a part two. A part two to this is tonight. Professor Anthony Zunkus I'll have do a stream with me where he's coming on as my guest, because he has been in constant contact with the accuser. Daily contact with the accuser. He's coming on tonight. He happens to be a trauma expert in this particular field. We'll ask him where he worked so you can get all of his credentials. This is his expertise. He'll be on tonight. Try to get him here for this episode, but just scheduling, East Coast, so it's a lot different schedule. So we're doing this separate stream. So there won't be a straight out of politics tonight. We're just doing this interview I'm doing with Professor Anthony Zunkus. He's a professor at Columbia University, and I think it's Adelphi, if I'm pronouncing it right. I think it's Adelphi or Delphi or something like that. So, but you can look him up on Twitter and check him out. But anyway, let's get back to the interview.
With that being said, I want to let everybody know I am not judge and jury. I am not. This is me simply asking questions. There are certain questions that I do need to ask, but I want you to know that I'm not here to tell you whether or not someone is innocent or guilty. That's not really my place, but I am here to ask the questions, and I wanted to make sure that everybody gets to say their part. So, Nick, I want to go ahead and get started with, I want to hear from you. So it was reported that you were under investigation for sexual harassment, and some of the board members I was able to talk to one of the board members, but some of the board members said that they were removed, or they feel they were removed because they believe the accuser. And I wanted to give you a chance to respond to that.
That's not accurate. They were removed because they drew up a plan.
Save my thoughts.
Which was illegal, which was found by our general counsel to be illegal, to remove me and then to remove other members of the board.
So they came up with an illegal plan to remove him. Let me repeat that here.
They were removed, or they feel they were removed because they believe the accuser. And I wanted to give you a chance to respond to that.
That's not accurate.
So I'm sorry, we're not gonna get through all of this because I have to. So this is another thing. So you do this tour with two of the board members who voted your way, but the one or more board member, I'm gonna leave it there. One or more board member who didn't vote your way, who was voting to who believed the accuser, they're gone. And you go on a tour with the ones who voted with you, who voted for you, your disciples, and somehow that's evidence. Why can't the ones who believe the accuser talk? Are they under NDAs?
Not accurate. They were removed because they drew up a plan which was illegal, which was found by our general counsel to be illegal, to remove me and then to remove other members of the board and dozens of delegates in the National Organizing Committee with whom they disagreed with politically on the direction of the party. They wanted it to go in a more liberal direction, whereas the party is more populist.
So there's a whole, and this is another very interesting. There's a whole lot of coincidences that happens under this person's leadership with MPP. So it's just a coincidence that was happening at this same time. That's just a coincidence. It sounds very duopoly like that this allegation is there. These board members is reportedly saying that they believe the accuser, and then you find process crimes as why they got removed. That sounds very, very duopoly like.
And has been for a long time. So that was the motive that they had, and the reason, in fact, that with our general counsel at the People's Party, we were so shocked to learn that, in fact, that's what they had in mind. This was an action that, if they had gone through with it, to purge dozens of people across the party, leaders in states across the party on the National Organizing Committee, where we're currently creating the charter for the National Committee, it would have destroyed the party. And that was so shocking that was the final straw. But that was just, there's obviously a lot of context before that I'm happy to go into.
When you say that they wanted to take the party in a liberal direction, can you explain like what you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. The messaging of the party had been shifting for a few months preceding these events. In particular, it corresponded with us bringing on additional contractors who were working with the party, who had a more identity politics focused kind of vision for the party.
Here where we get in the propaganda. This is where a newscaster would give an adjective to something that they have no business giving an adjective to. Let me replay it and then explain.
In the communications platforms to these events. In particular, it corresponded with us bringing on additional contractors who were working with the party, who had a more identity politics focused.
That's a buzzword intentionally placed there. He's pretty good with his democratic strategy. They were more identity politics focused. Would they describe it that way? This is the propaganda part. He's labeling that. He's already making that a fact in the narrative.
Kind of vision for the party and message for the party, and they were using the social media and the communications platforms to communicate that. Now, we are, as a populist party, there are thousands of people across the country who have inspired with that message, who've come in on that basis, who've donated on that basis, who have volunteered on that basis, and they were very alarmed with that shift.
This is very capitalist-like. That's the better word. Capitalist-like. You find process crimes. So what happened to a Starbucks worker who was trying to organize a union? What did they find? A process crime. Oh, you did this too long. Oh, you went this too long. Your break was 3 minutes, 30 seconds over. We got to fire you. No, it has nothing to do with the union part. Look at this egregious process crime you did.
Shift in the message. And so when that was brought to the attention, that became increasingly evident, including one particular contractor.
Became increasingly evident by whom?
Who in our Slack, which we use as a team communications platform, was attacking volunteers continuously.
Was attacking. I mean, I'm not gonna get through much of this. It's like it's laced. I didn't realize because I had skipped past. It's laced with propaganda. Attack. Who's describing it as attacking? It's trying to set a narrative here. I mean, let me look at the notes. Am I just by myself here? Or am I seeing this wrong? Let me see here. I mean, why did Ryan Knight leave? Why did Ryan Knight leave? If I recall, it was because there was a decision made, or he found out, or he got fed up with not making the party based in socialism. So this is a party that's based in the idea of capitalism, as of what I'm assuming. What's the ideology? It can't be socialism because that's the reason that Ryan Knight left. Let's read this one here. Let's just boil this down, CJ. You believe the board without evidence based on personal feelings and other believe Brana. You see why evidence is important. Belief is not necessary with evidence. I've heard this same line. Belief is not necessary with evidence. I'm not sure. Anyway, I've heard this line. I think it sounds similar to another quote that I've heard, but since it's a little bit different, I won't bring that up here. Like I said, I don't know if he did this, but okay. Why should this interview be taught? CJ is super sharp. I really have big respect for what he says and the effort he puts in breaking down the root. It's great at seeing things from multiple angles. Thanks for that. All right, so let's get through this because I'm already 40 minutes in and I don't feel like I've covered enough of the video. So let's get more into this here.
Calling them racists and white supremacists and sexists, really frivolously, every single disagreement.
Frivolously. Who made the determination that is frivolously?
Was reduced to
again. the point that I'm making is not that they weren't frivolous. The point that I'm making is you should not be attaching that in your statement in this interview. That's the point that I'm making. Because you're making the narratives as if that's fact. And that is your opinion.
An identity politics attack. And it resulted in that individual receiving dozens of grievances, that paid contractor, and also culminated in a petition with dozens of people signing for her removal. But individuals on the board who opposed the remaining populace who supported this transition to a more liberal message and orientation for the party and mission for the party, away from class solidarity. And
what does that mean? Like you see, like what he's describing is so abstract. So it was more liberal messaging. It was a liberal mood feeling that you felt. Like, what does that mean? Show us what you're talking about.
And uniting left and right. They opposed any accountability for contractors, and they protected that individual who was abusing volunteers.
I'm curious to know, because he makes a lot of allegations. Does anybody know, are these people under NDAs? This is one point I have not been able to confirm. Does anybody in the comments, does anybody know, are the people who are the people with MPP, for example, these people that have been booted off, have they signed NDAs where they can't talk? Let me see. Oh, yes, we saw. Oh, Kendra, you're one of them. Yes, we sign NDAs. Wow. So you get to go out and spread your message while the other people are under a lock and key of an NDA, because you're setting the narrative. The process is the problem. I don't know if these allegations are true or not. I have no idea. I'm like down. I don't have any idea. But I know what has been happening. It's terrible and disrespecting the process. Why don't you allow her to come out and tell her story before you try to preemptive set traps? It's almost like his general counsel told them. This is why I said I think the general counsel are Democratic lawyers, told them which buzzwords to use. Because he certainly checking off every single one Democratic checklist in this PR tour. That's a big thing. I'll save that for tonight. Okay, so wow, signing NDAs. I mean, are we in agreement that I'm sorry, I didn't watch the whole thing, so let me watch some more of this. Then maybe my questions will be answered.
The reason that we ended up having to really take the action of remove those, and I'll say again, with the guidance and counsel and advice of multiple lawyers and law firms, including our general counsel, who determines that what they were trying to do was not only illegal, but it was really incredibly morally unconscionable, and it would have destroyed.
Oh my God. He is throwing extra salsa on top right there. Let's go back and listen to this. I don't mean to laugh because it's so absurd.
Really incredibly morally unconscionable. And it
That line is written by a lawyer. That line. To give that is a line written to give emotion, feeling, make you feel.
determines that what they were trying to do was not only illegal, but it was really incredibly morally unconscionable, and it would have destroyed the party. And I can give you
This language, destroyed, morally unconscionable.
other examples of that shift. There's two other big examples. Just let me know if you want me to go into them. I'm happy to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to hear that crap. Let's
to deliberate the charter and the bylaws of.
There's a second question I specifically want to get to because this is running late.
Supported by these contractors and this more.
Okay, this is the part. Let me see. Go back a little bit.
I think teachable moments, and to pass a provision supported by these contractors and this more liberal faction on the board that had also launched the allegations against me. That was very, very.
Goodness. You see how he labels them liberal and they launched an attack against me. Do leftists know when they're being propagandized? Do you see how they're using this? He's using the same Democratic, liberal, MSNBC, cable news tactics on leftists. I hope other leftists are seeing this. All right.
Very alarming to the delegation. And
what I want to try to find is the Paula Jean comment is what I'm trying to look for.
It was shot down.
So let me try to find that Paula Jean question here. Sabby's talking right here. Okay.
Evidence to prove that conversation took place.
Oh yeah, let's back this part up.
Led general counsel and others to advise that that they needed to be removed.
So you said that there was a coup against the allegations against you. Do you have any evidence to prove that conversation took place, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, I do. There's two members of the special committee, David Micel and Lise Micels, not related. And the two of them arrived at that conclusion in about a week and a half and presented that. And when the member.
This is the same thing that guy who was being questioned, I think, by the AP reporter. What's the CIA guy? I did a stream on him, but he was getting questioned. He was like, "Oh, this is the evidence." And he was like, "No, well, where's the evidence? Tell me where's the report? The report is me telling you." That's what he just did. The report is the two people saying that's the conclusion they came to.
Yeah, in fact, I do. There's two members of the special committee, David Micel and Lise Micels, not related. And the two of them arrived at that conclusion in about a week and a half and presented that. And when the members of the board who were hostile to me and to
this guy has made himself out to be a victim, and the people that's believing this shit. There's Democratic operatives against him. There's infiltrators against him. People hostile against him. And none of these people can come out and talk. because they all sign NDAs. Right. This is about Brana. Let's go a little bit more.
A populist message, into the orientation that we had, and to my involvement in the messaging, and all of these various different order holding contractors accountable. When they learned of that, they opposed essentially making any kind of change to that.
You hear the words? They oppose essentially. That means they didn't oppose, and that's how I interpret it. That's literally what that means. They oppose essentially. That essentially means they didn't explicitly oppose or make it known that they oppose. He's saying essentially they opposed.
So I guess I have to ask, like, why hasn't that evidence been?
Everybody understand this? He's rehearsed this multiple times. So clearly rehearsed here.
Release, because like this story has been out for a couple of days and it's kind of taken on its own form here. If there's that evidence, why wasn't that evidence released to the public?
It actually was. There's an interview that Jordan Sheridan posted. Jackson Hinkle. It was Jackson Hinkle's interview where one of the special committee members, at least myself, joined and shared and attested to this. It's also on video.
Again, somebody coming on and saying a story is not evidence. Throughout this interview, every time she says evidence, every single time he says he has it. And points to absolutely no evidence.
Video.
That's a common theme. Before these allegations, the common thing that I heard, and it was also in another stream I saw, where yes, they always say, "We'll give you to you later," and it never comes. That's I've heard that about the People's Party or MPP more than a handful of times before this allegation.
That they were discussing that they believed that this is a coup, members of the special committee, which was in fact.
So he's that important. Somebody. So there's a coup. It's the same thing that happened on January 6th. It's happening to him. Okay? This shit is almost comical here. Like, this shit is almost comical. I can't support anything being led by this person.
It led to a political reprisal on the special committee because they had arrived at the wrong conclusion. The investigation was supposed to be predetermined in the eyes of these board members who had originally fabricated the allegations against me and kind of shepherded.
Everybody's fabricating shit against him, like everybody. I'm gonna cut this shit right there. I'm not gonna get. Actually, no. Let me just try to find the Paula Jean part, the part that I wanted to find. Let me try to find this. Paula Jean right here.
Did an interview, and the recording is on his interview.
That's the part. Okay, Okay, so let me go back right here and just recap.
Presented.
So he says the evidence is on Jackson's stream. Then he goes into basically what's in the evidence or some more story. And then at the end, Sabby comes back to make it clear. So the evidence you're saying is on the stream. And let's listen to his answer.
That there was no fault, there was no merit to the allegations, and in fact, that it was politically motivated.
Oh, wow. I got to include this part. So let me go back even more.
The other board members to attempt to remove them from the committee, from the investigation.
So when I spoke to a member from the board, one of the board members that was removed, they explained to me that this investigation was still going on. You're saying the investigation ended already?
Correct. It had concluded. The findings had been presented, that there was no fault, there was no merit to the allegations, and in fact, that it was politically motivated.
Politically motivated. Everybody's coming after Nick. He's a victim.
Correct. It had concluded. The findings had been presented, that there was no fault, there was no merit to the allegations, and in fact, that it was politically motivated. And that was the perspective that needed to be stamped out and suppressed when it was arrived at by these board members who had a different conclusion in mind.
That had to be stamped out and suppressed.
So Jackson Hinkle did an interview, and the recording is on his interview.
The recording's not on his interview, but Elise Meisel's.
You see? But he answered the question. Yes, there's evidence. Jackson's stream. The evidence is him being on another stream saying the same thing. That's the evidence.
Who was one of the special committee members attests to it in that interview. And we can find that recording.
Okay, because
yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
The recording is coming later.
Because like for me, like people want to see like some type of evidence. I know some things we can't talk about because legal situation, but people want to see or actually hear that recording. So if someone could get that to me, that would be good. Because I can't just go off of hearsay like that's the thing. But I do want to go into this statement that you issued. So I want to go ahead and share my screen.
Okay, this is the part where you're going to get into the Paula Jean part. Okay. Let me see where she highlights her name.
Directors. And so individuals.
So here, let's go to Paula Jean here.
Paula Jean was not removed. Last year's interim chair election or this year's national committee chair election, they tried to remove me through false allegations. The People's Party is a populist party. These board members wanted to convert it into a more liberal and woke party. They had already begun reorienting the party's message away from economic populism and towards identity politics, a transformation that alarmed many volunteers. They were supported by contractors who abused their positions of authority in the party to attack our own volunteers, delegates, and even Ralph Nader, who spoke at the opening meeting of the National Organizing Committee as sexist, racist, and white supremacists for seeking to build class solidarity. Okay, this part here goes into the mandates and the discussion in Slack, which I know that you mentioned. There's something here. I do have a question about this. This group of board members also sought to remove any and all accountability from paid contractors. Paula Jean Swearigan was hired as our West Virginia state director, but failed to bring in a single volunteer or National Organizing Committee delegate during her 6 months with the party. So I do have a question about this because from what I saw, Paula Jean was not removed. She resigned. Is that correct?
Correct.
So I guess I'm just trying to figure out why is she mentioned in this statement?
Because of the first sentence, that one of the objectives of the members of the board and the contractors who orchestrated the allegations against me was to remove any and all accountability from paid contractors. And so individuals on the board had been concerned.
So he's saying Paula Jean was one of the people who wanted to remove accountability. Isn't that what that means? What he's saying? I'm going to play it again to make sure I clearly heard that's what I heard. So let me play it again.
Sought to remove any and all accountability from paid contractors. Paula Jean Swearigan was hired as our West Virginia state director, but failed to bring in a single volunteer or national organizing committee delegate during her 6 months with the party. So I do have a question about this because from what I saw, Paula Jean was not removed. She resigned. Is that correct?
Correct.
So I guess I'm just
But
trying to
the issue,
figure out
go ahead.
why is she mentioned in this statement?
Because of the objectives of the members of the board and the contractors who orchestrated the allegations against me was to remove any and all accountability from paid contractors. And so individuals on the board had been concerned at the quality or the performance of Paula Jean's work, who'd been brought on as West Virginia State Director as one of her primary roles. And she also ended up organizing regionally. And we asked her for months to organize in the state and help find some reliable volunteers who could help.
Job performance. It was job performance.
Her set up a state hub in the state, as volunteers are doing across the country. And that for some of those to join us on the National Organizing Committee, 2 in particular, where we have 2 per state. Not only did she not find even one, let alone 2 members who could join the National Organizing Committee or volunteers, but it did not appear that she was even attempting to do so. She was reticent to report.
Why is that even still? Why is that? Why? Like, he's saying something to me that sounds completely disconnected from this. Why are you including her? It's always about with this person. This is why I'm saying he has been groomed by the Democratic Party, is getting a narrative narrative. Paula Jean quits. We need to sully her reputation is what we need to do. Quickly. So that anything she says, people are not going to say, she's disgruntled. Well, her job performance. This person, Nick Brana, and possibly maybe the people, or he's being advised by a Democratic lawyer, general counsel. This has Democratic strategy written all over it.
The work that she was doing, in fact, and as a growing party, and as a party that's bringing in donations, small dollar donations, with a $19 average for people who give $5, $10 a time, I take it very seriously, and other members of the board take it very seriously how our resources are used and what they.
That is strategically placed, likely by a lawyer. Okay. Again, this is all rehearsed. You're bringing up the money that people are given. You need to show empathy. You need to show you care. Touches its heart. This is all planned.
Some reliable volunteers who could help her set up a state hub in the state, as volunteers are doing across the country. And that for some of those to join us on the National Organizing Committee, 2 in particular, where we have 2 per state. Not only did she not find even one, let alone 2 members who could join the National Organizing Committee or volunteers, but it did not appear that she was even attempting to do so. She was reticent to report the work that she was doing, in fact, and as a growing party, and as a party that's bringing in donations, small dollar donations, with a $19 average for people who give $5, $10 a time, I take it very seriously, and other members of the board take it very seriously how our resources are used and what they go to. The people who are paid, and I should be clear, I've founded the party and I've been with the party for 5 years. The other board members who remain have all been with the party for 5 years, except for one, Dave, who's been with the party for 2 years.
Were the people who were taken off, had they been with the party for 5 years? Does anybody know in the comments? The board members that were removed, had they also been around for 5 years? If anybody knows, please let me know.
Not once have we taken a dime of compensation.
It's you've donated your money and I'm the savior. I'm not taking money. That's what this was just right there. This is all about Nick. This should be called the Nick Party. This is about Nick. Everything is always about Nick.
So,
we chose
when was
to
her
hire others first.
when was her accountability removed? Do you remember? Like, was that recent or?
I raised it and others raised it. And when we raised that and questions about the finances as well, that were under the purview and contractual responsibility.
He raised it. Yeah, and some others. That's like when America says, United States and our NATO allies. That's like that. It was him. Oh, yeah, some other people. Our NATO allies. The fuck out of here. Oh. Alrighty. This shit is funny. It's getting funny.
Abilities of our contractors, of our 3 contractors, that isn't, it is days later when I raised it on a board call, days after I raised those concerns about the finances, about the fact that a finance plan drafted by contractors had in fact not only failed to meet its objectives, but hadn't even been executed, a 3-month finance plan. And also the lack of volunteers and delegates coming in from Paula Jean Swearingen.
That this whole thing was so he can talk about Paula Jean because she's a witness to what is happening, or because her tweet. Everybody has seen her tweet. I can attest to what's going on. Yes, he's yes. Purging people people who have had legitimate allegations against him, something like to that effect. So she's part of the people that has to be taken down. That's what this is all about there. So we can stop this here. Thank you everybody for putting up with me here. This stream, I was really literally irked about the Jackson stream. Completely irked by the Jackson stream and what was said in that stream. And I felt like someone needs to speak up about how bad this process was, and that if leftists heard this story, but they were just Democrats, what would we be saying? I have no idea if the allegations are true. And that's not what this stream was about. I didn't once talk about the validity of the allegations. I've been talking about the treatment, the propaganda, the narrative setting that's going on here. All to save one person. That's just this recent allegation. There's been different things that has popped up, and the one that I remember was the one that had to do with Black people most vividly, because Renee had came onto the show like right in the beginning of FHL. Renee, who was once a member, and I can't remember if she left or got removed, but she came on the, Renee was on the Status Quo show. She was on with Sabby also. She went on either with Nick or I can't remember who, maybe RJ, and talked about it. So those that stand, that are Nick Brana stands, we can pretend like that didn't happen too. MPP needs new leadership. Leadership that can take this party to the next level. Nick Brana cannot effectively do that because of the multitude of things that's happened and the terrible handling by him and his disciples of these items. Still not transparent. Before this came out, I went to, before Jordan Sheridan's stream came out and he had that, I went to look for Nick on YouTube. Just, okay, let's go look at, couldn't find interviews months ago of MPP, like months ago. I'm like, why can't I find interviews? Go to the page, stuff weeks old, months old. Like, why isn't this party more transparent? Why isn't this party more involved? Especially a new party. That fucking YouTube page should be popping. You're trying to get more people. You're a new party. How are you going to do that if you're not putting out content on your platforms? That's a management issue. The low visibility of MPP is a management issue. So we could pretend like this is the only issue, so let's get back. It's not. It is not. But this, to me, was the last straw for me. Because, you know, situation with Renee and some of the other former black members, you know, we raise our eyebrow. Okay, let's keep our eye open about this. Then we hear something else. You just keep hearing different things. And then when I hear this, and then the treatment, just terrible. So that's all I got for everybody today. I went not too long. Oh, wow. I'm right at the time. Maybe I'm starting to feel it. Hopefully everybody likes my new seating arrangement. I'm a little lower. That's the General Strike Summit playing in the background. That is Ron Placone with JB and Nick there. So again, not tell anybody to follow what I'm saying. This is my rant. This stream was me just ranting. So this is a glimpse into how I do my process. So, you know, I'm watching Sabby's stream, and throughout, this is what I'm doing. So you're just watching me through my process of watching content in order to prepare. That's essentially what you saw today. That's exactly how I do it. I'm watching it, and I'm like, and I'm commenting. Sometimes I write those comments down, and those are the points that I make, like what I read earlier. Sometimes they're so big and I feel so strong about them that I just remember them. So that's what you saw today. I'm not telling you to do what I'm doing. You, from your background and your perspective in life, you decide what you believe. You decide how you make your decisions. This is how I make mine. I make mine, and a lot of people, I feel, especially maybe this is a people of color thing, you make your stuff off of gut. Because when you're living in a racist society who's telling you not racist, they're telling you they're not racist as they're being racist. You have to learn how to go off your gut feeling, and you learn to develop that quite well. Because you're living in a society that's constantly telling you it's not a racist society, you're not being oppressed. And it's like, what the fuck? That's exactly what I'm feeling. So for me, I have to see, I need to hear, what is your reaction? Do I'm seeing a tail and what you're saying? Now, because they didn't go into the allegations, I don't know. If he talked about the allegations, she said this and then this, maybe I can get a feel for whether the allegations are true. Like, for my gut, I mean, I can't tell you if it's true, but for my gut. But I don't get a feel because they're not talking about that. But I get a feel that in a lot of things that he talks about, this person is not on the up and up. This person is not truthful. This person is about framing. Skilled propagandists. That's what I got. So I'm going to be signing off. Thank you, everybody that joined me today for watching. Thank you, everybody on Rockfin. Let me see if I got any comments here. Yes. Yes, I see a couple of comments. Thank you for those comments. I won't read them. Thank you for those comments on Rockfin. Thank you for everything. I know there was a few Nick Brana stands in here, and you stayed through it. And I know it was probably painful for you to see your idol be criticized. And I don't make any apologies, but I understand. So I leave you with that. We are trying to reach 15,000 subscribers by April 1st, which is our anniversary, our 1-year anniversary. So please subscribe to the channel. If you think you're subscribed, double check, because some people have been unsubscribed. I don't know who did it or not. I'm not making any allegations, but they've been unsubscribed, or they noticed that they were unsubscribed. So just make sure you're subscribed. And that's all I got for everybody today. Again, thank you for joining me today. Tomorrow's Thursday. Yes, I shall be on tomorrow. Other than that, I will see you later.
Of black men, black mothers' sons, becomes as important to the rest of the country as the killing of a white mother's son. Friends, brothers, and sisters in the struggle for human dignity and freedom, I am here to represent the struggle that has gone on for 300 or more years, a struggle to be recognized as citizens in a country in which we were born. I have had about 40 or 50 years of struggle, ever since a little boy on the streets of Norfolk called me a nigger. I struck him back, and then I had to learn. I had to learn that hitting back with my fist one individual was not enough. It takes organization. It takes dedication. It takes the willingness to stand by and do what has to be done when it has to be done. It has to. A nice gathering like today is not enough. You have to go back and reach out to your neighbors who don't speak to you. And you have to reach out to your friends who think they are making it good and get them to understand that they, as well as you and I, cannot be free in America or anywhere else where there is capitalism and imperialism until